Welcome to our Trump Briefing Show. Today, we've got a lively lineup of news that's sure to keep you on the edge of your seat. First up, Washington, D.C. is gearing up for a jam-packed week with the World Pride celebration, street parties, and a massive military parade celebrating the U.S. Army's 250th birthday. City officials are confident but cautious, beefing up security with fences and protocols, knowing that the summer's events, plus FIFA matches and July 4th festivities, are a logistical challenge for the city. Next, in the legal arena, the Trump administration is asking the Supreme Court to let nearly 1,400 Education Department employees stay fired. They argue the layoffs are about efficiency, but opponents say it hampers the department's core mission. It's a heated legal battle over the future of education governance, with implications for how the government manages its agencies. Finally, in economic news, President Trump is pushing for a manufacturing revival with tariffs on steel and aluminum, but the industry is feeling the strain. Higher costs and uncertainty are leading to contractions in the sector, and experts warn that these tariffs might backfire, causing companies to move production overseas or hike prices for consumers. It's a tricky balancing act between protection and growth. Please continue to stay tuned for more detailed updates on these stories and more. The Associated Press vividly captures Washington's bustling event scene, where the city's police and officials are confidently preparing for an intense week of celebrations and displays of military might. As the city transitions from the exuberance of World Pride, which is expected to draw up to 1 million visitors, to the grand spectacle of a military parade celebrating the U.S. Army's 250th birthday, the logistical challenges are immense. The city's police chief, Pamela Smith, asserts their expertise in managing crowds, yet concerns linger about the heavy armored vehicles, like 60-ton tanks, that will rumble through the streets, risking road damage and requiring delicate planning. Security measures are heightened with fencing and vigilant monitoring for counter-protests, especially given the political tensions surrounding Trump's policies and the potential for violence. Despite some early fears of protests and vandalism, the city remains resilient, demonstrating its ability to adapt swiftly, as evidenced by past large-scale events like presidential inaugurations and state funerals, all within a tight schedule that extends into subsequent summer events, including FIFA matches and fireworks displays. The Toronto Star details the Trump administration's ongoing legal battle over mass layoffs at the Education Department, which has become a focal point of the president's efforts to dismantle the agency. A court-ordered injunction temporarily halted nearly 1,400 dismissals, sparking a fierce legal contest where the Justice Department argues that the judge overstepped authority by intervening in policy decisions. The administration insists that the layoffs align with their goal of streamlining the department and shifting responsibilities to states, but critics, including Democratic attorneys general and education groups, contend that these cuts threaten the department's ability to uphold civil rights, support special education, and distribute federal aid. The legal dispute underscores the broader ideological clash over federal control of education, with opponents warning that the mass layoffs could cripple essential functions, while Trump champions the move as a necessary reform, despite the significant political and legal hurdles it faces. Yahoo US vividly portrays President Trump's bold yet controversial push to revive American manufacturing through tariffs on steel and aluminum, a strategy that has so far burdened domestic producers with rising costs amidst a contracting industry. The tariffs, which surged to 50%, have created a climate of uncertainty, causing manufacturers to cut back production and dampen optimism, as reflected in declining indices and a sharp drop in business sentiment. While Trump touts the tariffs as a way to protect jobs and foster a manufacturing renaissance, critics argue that the policy is short-sighted, disrupting supply chains and raising input prices without guaranteeing long-term growth. The industry faces a paradox: higher costs may lead some companies to offshore production or slow hiring, and the limited capacity of American sources to meet demand complicates the picture further. Experts warn that, despite the promise of increased domestic output, the real challenge lies in balancing the economic costs of tariffs with the goal of revitalizing U.S. industry, all while navigating the complex realities of global supply chains and automation-driven labor shifts. The Toronto Star vividly depicts the ongoing devastation in Ukraine, emphasizing the relentless Russian bombardments that have turned the country into a war-torn landscape. The narrative highlights the ferocity of the attacks, with over 400 Russian drones and missiles striking 6 Ukrainian regions, resulting in civilian casualties, injuries, and widespread destruction of homes and critical infrastructure. Kyiv, in particular, endured hours of explosions and fires, with emergency responders risking their lives amid the chaos to save others. The report underscores the tragic toll of the conflict, with over 12,000 civilians killed and the city's residents enduring constant fear and uncertainty. Meanwhile, Ukraine's resilience is evident as they continue to defend their homeland, despite the seemingly unending assault, and international efforts to broker peace appear increasingly bleak, with Russia's military campaigns persistently undermining hopes for a swift resolution. The Canadian press offers a stark perspective on the geopolitical tensions surrounding Ukraine, focusing on Russia's intensified military strikes and the fragile state of peace negotiations. The report chronicles a particularly brutal night of Russian airstrikes, with hundreds of drones and missiles targeting Ukrainian cities, causing fires, power outages, and casualties. Ukrainian President Zelensky condemns Russia's relentless aggression, asserting that Russia doesn't change its stripes, as the war drags into its third year with no meaningful breakthroughs in peace talks. Despite diplomatic efforts, Russia remains steadfast in its demands, rejecting Ukraine's proposed ceasefires and negotiations, while the international community watches anxiously. The report paints a grim picture of a conflict marked by devastating attacks on civilians and infrastructure, underscoring the profound challenges in achieving a peaceful resolution amid ongoing hostilities and mutual distrust. South China Morning Post shifts focus to the tense diplomatic and academic landscape between the United States and China, as over 700 American scholars of China appeal to Secretary of State Marco Rubio to halt the implementation of sweeping visa restrictions on Chinese students. These restrictions, announced amid concerns over intellectual property theft and espionage, threaten to undermine U.S. innovation and the long-term strength of its higher education sector. The scholars argue that such broad measures could be self-defeating, as Chinese students often stay in the U.S. after graduation, fostering cultural exchange and technological advancement. They emphasize that most students have CCP connections through everyday associations, making targeted restrictions impractical and potentially harmful, especially as Chinese talent continues to contribute significantly to global research and development. The petition reflects a broader debate over national security versus the value of international academic exchange, with many experts warning that restricting Chinese students could backfire, weakening U.S. scientific leadership and diplomatic ties in the process. Deutsche Welle reports that NATO is poised to significantly increase its defense spending, despite economic challenges, in response to the escalating threat from Russia and a more perilous global landscape. At a recent Brussels defense ministers' meeting, broad support emerged for a historic hike, with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte proposing a total investment of 5% of each member's GDP, a substantial jump from the current 2%. To appease U.S. President Donald Trump's demands for higher contributions, Rutte suggested a nuanced division, 3.5% dedicated to core defense and 1.5% to defense-related investments like infrastructure. This move reflects mounting European willingness to bolster military budgets, with 14 NATO states already moving toward the 5% target, including Poland, Estonia, and Lithuania, many of which border Russia. Despite the consensus, concerns linger about the economic strain this could impose, especially on Germany and France, amid their economic difficulties, and the risk of fueling an arms race. The alliance aims to finalize these plans by their upcoming summit in The Hague, focusing on enhancing capabilities such as air defense and missile systems, while balancing the urgent need for increased security against the potential backlash from public opposition and the economic toll of such a substantial military buildup. The Associated Press vividly depicts the emotional turmoil faced by transgender service members as they confront an impending deadline to leave the U.S. military due to the Trump administration's renewed ban. Many are torn between their dedication to a career they cherish and the financial incentives offered to leave voluntarily, such as doubled separation pay and the threat of repaying bonuses. For some, the decision is driven by financial necessity, exemplified by Roni Farrell, who felt cornered by the prospect of owing her government money if she refused to sign the separation agreement. Others, like a Marine with an unblemished record, choose to stay and fight, motivated by a sense of duty and merit-based service. The situation is further complicated for National Guard members, who face the added challenge of potentially being required to serve according to their gender assigned at birth, creating uncomfortable and disruptive scenarios. As the deadline looms, the process of involuntary separation remains vague, with some troops uncertain about what the future holds, especially as lawsuits and legal battles continue to challenge the ban, highlighting the deep personal and professional stakes involved. Yahoo US offers a stark account of the Trump administration's aggressive efforts to drastically reduce the workforce of the Education Department, seeking to fire nearly 40% of its employees amidst legal opposition. An emergency appeal to the Supreme Court underscores the administration's intent to bypass judicial orders that prevent such mass layoffs, emphasizing claims that the cuts are aimed at eliminating inefficiency rather than dismantling the agency. The legal battle is intense, with a federal judge in Boston blocking the layoffs, citing concerns that the move could cripple the department's functions, while the administration insists that the order oversteps judicial authority. This clash reflects broader tensions over the administration's desire to dismantle or weaken federal agencies, with legal rulings and appeals shaping the uncertain future of the department's operations and staffing, raising questions about the balance of power between the executive branch and the judiciary. Deutsche Welle provides a compelling narrative about the volatile relationship between Elon Musk and Donald Trump, illustrating how their alliance has recently soured and the potential repercussions for Musk's business empire. Once a critic of Trump, Musk shifted allegiance, backing his policies and even supporting his re-election campaign with nearly $300 million. Musk's involvement in the Trump administration, including a controversial advisory role, eventually led to public disputes, especially after Musk criticized Trump's fiscal policies and accused him of ties to Jeffrey Epstein, prompting threats to revoke Musk's government contracts. The fallout caused Tesla's stock to plummet by a historic $150 billion in a single day, yet later rebounded when Musk and Trump appeared to reconcile. The feud poses significant risks to Musk's companies, especially Tesla, which faces potential subsidy cuts and tariff impacts that could reduce profits and disrupt operations, alongside the uncertainty surrounding government contracts for SpaceX and Starlink. This tumultuous relationship underscores how political conflicts can ripple through Musk's vast business interests, threatening the future stability and growth of his technological empire. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.
Morning coffee, fresh off the press. Reading headlines, feeling blessed. World keeps turning, stories unfold. Every moment, news gets told. Flipping channels, clicking tabs. Feeding my mind's hunger grabs. Facts and figures, images bright. News keeps rolling day and night. Headlines and headlines, can't get enough. Learning about the world, yeah, it's my stuff. Headlines and headlines, stories unfold. Knowledge is power, truth to behold. Politics, science, sports, and art. Every story plays its part. Global voices, voices near. Every headline loud and clear. Need the latest, got to know. Never stopping, always go. Scrolling, swiping, reading on. Daylight breaks in the dark. Headlines and headlines, can't get enough. Learning about the world, yeah, it's my stuff. Headlines and headlines, stories unfold. Knowledge is power, truth to behold. Need the latest, got to know. Never stopping, always go. Scrolling, swiping, reading on. Daylight breaks in the dark. Headlines and headlines, can't get